talk to people and there's still no adjustments, that worries me. I was wary about the defensive shape up because no Kuricai in this one. Obviously, he had a pretty bad game and the Kaiser's outmatched, but he was out because of suspension. And so Ayhan comes in naturally. My first inclination would be that Becker would be on the left-hand side versus Ayhan, but we didn't really see that wrinkle. Sanchez certainly was on that side, but he was in there on the left back side in place of Becker. Maybe Becker's situation is a lot more dire than we thought because there's some moves that happened on the left back side that happened today. But nonetheless, the game starts out and we know it's going to be a grind. It's Schalke. It's never going to be easy. And I remember the kickoff happened. I get up, go get a drink, and they score a goal. They score a goal within first minute or two. One of the glaring weaknesses of the high line. We play a high line defensive line. One of the glaring weaknesses that we've talked about from numerous times is that, we press up so high with the defensive line, but if we play a team that's good possession, good in passing, they can break that down, and all of a sudden it's numbers the other way. And what we saw within the first, couple minutes of the game, minute of the game, they caught us in a counterattack situation, and lo and behold, it's a high line that gets beat once again. And for some reason, it's Katic against Holtmann. Holtmann's going to win that 10 times out of 10 every day of the week and twice on Sunday. He just outpaces Katic. I mean, he was caught in no man's land. Holtmann ends up crossing the ball in, and it was just a tap-in from Ayoshi at that point. Ayhan, Sanchez, I mean, you name it. Everybody was out of position, with the high line press, and to go down that early, I wasn't ready for that. I know you weren't ready for that, but Schalke clearly weren't ready for that. It's a weakness that keeps rearing its head with these teams that are skilled on the ball, as Kaiserslautern are, or as Bochum are, and down 1-0 early, I was like, oh man, this is not a good situation here, Jack.
You talked about what your initial minute or so of the game was, which was, getting up and going, getting a drink and coming back and discovering that we've conceded a goal. The first minute or so of my game was immediately looking at our line and looking at multiple players on both edges of the wing that are sitting right on it and like looking for the ball. Now I'm not claiming that I predicted this was going to happen immediately, but like within the first 60 seconds, I already noticed that, and my thought was, Bochum's paying attention in terms of like they're doing the scouting report. They're looking at how we're conceding goals and how we're, vulnerable. And it was clear from the way they were setting up in possession shape wise from the first seconds of the match that's something they were going to be looking to do. I didn't expect it to even result in a chance that early, let alone a goal. But like they took advantage of it right away, caught us napping. I actually kind of want to blame Ayhan for it a little bit as well, because I felt like he had a chance to get to that and didn't really make an effort to get to it, assuming he had coverage behind him. And what happened is that I don't know if this was a coordinated thing, because it actually happened on both of their goals to some extent. So maybe it's something they've like practiced or whatever. But like the second that ball comes in, Miyoshi cuts inside of Sanchez from behind. That wasn't like reaction to like where the ball was played. It was almost like as the ball was getting played, he makes that move, and it happens to die exactly in that space between Ayhan and Sanchez. Sanchez is just completely has no idea that Miyoshi's coming on that side of him, and it's basically a one-on-one with. I'm not saying it's uncontested, but it was kind of a clear hit one-on-one with the keeper there, and so Karius is beaten right away. And it's we're on the road. It's a shocking gut punch in the derby like immediately. And it's what we've seen a lot of recently. We do not have speed in our center back play. When we can control the game, I think those guys can read danger relatively well, and they can make good angles and get to stuff. But when we're just talking about being on our heels and having to turn and run 30 yards to try to save something, like that's not something that we have for the most part. Sanchez a little bit, Ayhan's got a little bit of pace, like that kind of thing. But like Katic and Becker are not keeping up with people for the most part. It's been a real problem recently, and I'm surprised that there haven't been more adjustments from Muslic in terms. I mean, maybe you don't know how that translates from him trying to make adjustments and players executing it, but it seems pretty obvious situation, and for Bochum to like take advantage of it that early and making it a clear point of intention, it seemed like is just kind of embarrassing is the wrong word, but it seems like, okay, how are we not a little bit more on top of this at this point? I don't know.
Yeah, and I I could give them a benefit of doubt and say the first goal, not necessarily embarrassing. They caught us in what our glaring weakness was. But what was embarrassing is for the remainder of the game, they continued the same formula over and over again. Get the ball to Holtmann, take on whoever one-on-one, and beat them for pace. And he did throughout the game. We had no adjustment whatsoever. Even at halftime when, we had an opportunity to have the coaches talk to the players, it just didn't seem to change. And it's one of those weaknesses that we've talked about all year long, where it's that right side, as good as they played this year, that is a weakness where teams take advantage of it. And no one has been exploiting it. They've taken advantage of like one or twice here in the game. Bochum took advantage of that's like their whole game plan is go down that one wing and just attack. And we had no answers for it, and that's scary if we can't adjust to it. We'll see how the game's going forward. And really, the predominant trend in the first half was Holtmann going down that wing, exploiting our guys. And you had this feeling, everyone watching the game knew that eventually this is going to happen another goal. This is what's going to happen. We held on as long as we could, and then just before halftime. So we scored right at the beginning of the half of the game. And then just before halftime, once yet again, they go down to Holtmann for the millionth time in the first half. He goes down, crosses the ball in, and Hoffman puts a fantastic finish. I mean, it's a wonderful strike by Hoffman. I'm not going to take that away from him, but the fact that Holtmann beat whoever the hell he wanted to on that one wing sets up Hoffman for the goal. It's just like, damn, 2-0, game's over at that point because we could barely get a shot off. They already got 2 goals.
No, it's the same goal though. Left-hand side, yes. Striker cuts inside the far center back the exact same way Miyoshi did on the first one. And he, there's only so much Karius can do. And I thought Karius was the best player on the pitch for us again, by the way. But there's only so many times you can put him in one-on-ones in the game and expect him to save our ass. And he's going to do it a couple times a game, but you can't push it. And
no.
Yeah, I mean, this defensive thing of we have Karius behind us now. Maybe we can get a little more aggressive and I mean, I'm not saying that's what the mindset is, but it seems like it at times, and that's not sustainable. We gotta tighten up. Well, I mean, I'll say this: they still had multiple opportunities against our back line and the high line where they smoked us. I said, I almost said Ayhan again. That's the second week in a row. I said him and his brother instead of his name. Sorry, Murchaya. But dude, he slipped, fell down. One-on-one, Katic sprints 30 yards to get in front of that and kind of save potentially a 3-0 situation. So there was still some of that stuff happening.
Ayhan over Becker. At least on the right-hand side. Becker can play left-hand side, and he wants to do that. That's fine. Our biggest weakness is our right-hand flank. Volantevich and whoever the hell's on the right flank, Ayhan has to be there. He is at least a balancing force in that effort. He has his own mistakes, and we know that.
Becker hasn't been good enough since coming back. I'm sorry. It pains me to say it. It's a fact.
Yeah, and there may be now a new guy coming in left wing, a French guy, left back, that may help with the Becker situation when he's out. So Ayhan has to start in right back or right center back, no matter what. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said that right hand side's been a problem. Becker's looked slow, and he's just getting beaten too much. Yeah, I don't know. It sucks, but I think if it becomes an either or. I think you play Ayhan there.
We got to figure out that right wing spot. The right wing spot is a glaring issue, and within 42 seconds, they score a goal on us, and it just destroys our game plan. It'll destroy anybody's game plan there. And so the psychological blow when you play in a team and you Riviera Derby, when you know you don't score that many goals as it is, and you're touting yourself on this great defense, and they score within the first minute of the game. It's a psychological blow. And so many things happened in the chain of events there that led to the goal, but we keep seeing it time and time again. We need to fix the high line is nice when it works for us. When you got teams like Bochum, and I think as much as Miron Muslic and his management team study the opposition, they should know that a team is A, good at countering, good B, at possession, and can pass the ball really well, and you notice that maybe you got to deviate just a little bit. Yeah, you want everyone to play to your style, but if you got teams there, when you play that high line, it can be destructive to your team when you play those teams. As we saw in the Bochum match, and 42 seconds in, they scored a goal. We need to understand better when we analyze these games. Now the management team, maybe we should do this in this game. Yeah, we're going to play a high line. We don't have to play on the other side of the pitch. We can play a little bit higher, but more set back than what we're used to. They have to understand a balance, kind of what you said with Dzeko, a balance of where you play that high line and defensively.
Or make it more personnel dependent. Maybe we're not doing that unless the back three is Kuricay and Ayhan alongside Katic, and you have Becker on the left hand. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or, I mean, like Vitaly Becker, not Timo Becker. You know what I mean? It's something else. Like I'm saying, like if it's the situation we had today, maybe we're not looking at that as much. I don't know. And I'm sure, like, hey, like if it's easy to like look at isolated like 15, 20-second moments and being like, this entire philosophy can't work because there's been the isolated moments where there's danger that's leaked through. So I understand that perspective of it too. But like, I think my concern is this has started to be a thing towards the back end of the first half of the season. And it like has shown no signs of improving now for like 6-7 games kind of in a row at minimum, I think, to the point where it's like, it's worrying. And the whole thing was like, we are where we were largely were because of our defense. Our defense has not changed. Yeah, there's some mild injury stuff, but for the most part, like we're kind of where we've been with the defense for the entire time. We just got a defensive reinforcement. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Like, so unless our defense dramatically changes, we should be okay because we just improved our offense through Jekyll. Like, we don't have any excuses. The problem is our defense has not looked like it has recently. And when you start conceding 2 goals a game, our offense is not built to be able to cope with that at the moment.
No,
Until Jack was playing more minutes. Like we were getting away with this because we would have these 0-0 games in the first half of the season where we're picking up a point. You know what I mean? Like once you start giving up 2 goals a game, as we have against Kaiserslautern and Bochum, our offense is not that good. We can't do that. Like it isn't there yet. I think it could be potentially at some point in the second half, once again, as Dzeko and maybe some of the new signings get involved. But like that's the problem. So whatever this defensive issue is, we have to lock it down. And it seems like most of the danger recently has been coming as a result of this high line. So I think, hey, screw whatever your situation is. Get this part of it under control. Let's not give up these home run balls and see if we can control the game a little better some other way until we get some other things figured out. Because like this is the thing that's getting me concerned. I still think we're in great shape, obviously, but like if the defensive component of what got us here starts to slip and the offense doesn't catch up soon enough, that changes the calculus very quickly. And the defenses look bad.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And like, if once in the game you're going to have a situation, it's having you guys better prepared to do what to do in a situation when the game breaks down and they're going down the flank. What do you do? Because we haven't done it to this point. Figure out what to do in those situations. 2, it's one thing. I'd feel more confident if, yes, it happened early in the game, 42 seconds in, but we didn't see the rest of the game because they made adjustments. The startling thing is when this happens, we make 0 adjustments, and it continues over and over again, and the better teams will continue to exploit it as Bochum did. Kaiserslautern kind of did it, but then they kind of went away from it because they kind of got distracted when we scored a goal. Bochum just kept doing it over and over and over again. And they're like, we're going to keep doing it until you stop us. And Schalke wasn't stopping us. And so they just kept doing it. And so that's what scares me more than anything is that, like, we don't adjust whatsoever. It's like, oh, you scored a goal that way. Okay, cool. And then, oh, you scored it again. Okay, cool. It's like, no, adjust. Figure something out. There's a reason why they did it because they went right by you. Like, figure it out. Make adjustments. And especially if it go to halftime where the coaches and the managers have an opportunity to talk to people and there's still no adjustments, that worries me. Now, granted, it's one game. I'm not going to read into it too much. But if it starts continuing on and on, then you need to start to get worried. We need to continue what's our bread and butter, like you said, our defense. Yeah, just keep our bread and butter good and absolutely figure out something on the right-hand side, right wing side. And if you can minimize that at least, hey, they scored another goal, they scored a worldly goal, so be it. But you can't just allow them, just can give them a freebie goal like they're coming down that wing that we've seen over and over again in that Bochum match. It's infuriating. So
yeah, I don't think anyone expected our Rückrunde defensive record to match what we did in the Hinrunde, but we also can't start conceding 2 goals a game. It's just a matter of course. Yeah.